Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Recipe for Success, blending global comfort food with plant-based ingredients. Thank you to Kellogg's Away from Home for sponsoring this session. If you scroll down below the screen, you'll find the recipe packet link if you would like to follow along. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. It would be my pleasure to introduce our chefs for today's demonstration. We have Chef Mario, Chef Heath, and Chef Oona. Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hi there, everyone.
How's everyone doing? I'm Chef Heath with Kellogg's, and we're here in the Manuvation Center in downtown Chicago. I'm with Chef Mario. I have my colleague, Chef Oona, on the line as well. And Chef Mario from the Hilton is going to be putting together a dish for us using our incognito plant-based ground food.
So, like Chef Heath said, my name is Mario, and so the challenge came along to me as of, Chef, we want to make something that is comfort food, something that speaks of your heritage, something that talks about you. So, I was challenged to do all of this, and I think it was a great challenge to use the plant-based ground from the incognito. Came to me in a pound package. So I'm working on a 1 pound recipe. Chef Oona, is there anything you want to add before I start cooking?
No, I just would like to say, what are you going to be cooking for us today, Chef Mario?
So, when I work at the Hilton Chicago, and the Hilton Chicago is a hotel of, 1,544 rooms. And we have, we can do events for anywhere between 10 people to 3,000 people. The largest event that I kept cooking there for a plated seated meal, it's at 3,500. But, a couple of years ago, an organization came and asked me, it's like, Chef, we want to take something out of your heritage, something that you have done yourself, something that you used to cook when you were a kid. So, we were brainstorming with Chef Heath and Chef Oona, and I say, you know what? I did this a while back, and we did a take on the classical albondigas. And which is a meatball. Yeah. And so from that recipe, sometimes when I do recipes that I come from home, I usually, consult with my mom. It's like, hey, we used to eat this and we used to do this. And she will tell me, it's like, yeah, you used to do it like this way. And this is how you do, and this is how you drive this. So this organization asked me to do an event for 1,200 people. But I was thinking of the albondiga. So I changed it and I call it an albondigon.
Which is what?
Which is pretty much is very similar to a meatloaf. Okay. But what I did is, in that time, I was using animal protein. I was using ground beef, and I was using queso fresco, and I did all the ingredients that you normally will do for an albondiga. But then I roll it out, and I make it into a roll, and then that helped me to slice it down, and I was able to serve it with some chayotes, some potatoes, and a little salad. So for today, while brainstorming with Chef Heath and Chef Oona, we got the challenge of using the incognito, the plant-based ground protein. And so I'm going to do an albondigon, all plant-forward albondigon. So I have my incognito ground. And Chef Oona, Chef Heath, feel free to ask questions as I go along.
Yeah, did you, when you were using the incognito ground, did you find it fairly versatile?
I did. One of the things that when I was working with it really feels like the animal protein that you are used to work with. And one of the things that I found is the versatility of it, and how easy it is to change your recipes from an all animal protein into an all plant-based protein. I think that was one of the beauty of it. What I did. The one thing that you got to keep in mind, when working with an all plant forward recipes, is that you have to bring in some fat into it. You don't have the same fat, you don't have the same consistency that you normally have. So you gotta think about how you're gonna add that fat. Normally when you were making albondigas, we will add the rice, we will add egg, we will add a little bit of cream and a little bit of cheese. So then I was asking Chef Heath, and I was like, Chef, do you have any ideas of what can I use for binding, for the binding process? And we were brainstorming in different types of binding to help us get the consistency of the albondiga that we wanted. And then in our case, to build the albondigon, because, right, this is got to be produced a lot in a longer scale. And, how can I produce it all plant-based?
So
So
what did you use? Did you use something different than egg to bind it, Chef Mario?
I did. I
What was
actually move, so I have my grounds right here, and let me go through my steps right here. So I have on the recipe, you'll have some caramelized onions. I put in the recipe, I think we put 3 ounces. So I'm gonna do maybe a little bit more. I just like onions, and then more when they are caramelized. I'm going to do a little bit of roasted garlic. This garlic is always good. I'm gonna do a little bit of toasted panko to help me with the binding. And then here is your answer for the answer for your question, Chef Oona. I practiced with a few different types of plant-based milks, and I ended up settling with a consistency of oatmeal milk. And this is the one that gave me the best result, the oatmeal milk. This is the one that, that allowed me to do the binding, and the binding process work the best when we get the final cooking product.
So it's going to keep it all together.
And you also are adding a little bit of moisture with that as well. I think that helps.
That is correct.
Binding.
But to be honest, the incognito, the incognito ground has plenty of moisture as you cook with it. And you will see in other different applications when you just saute with a little bit of oil, olive oil, grapeseed oil, depending on the oil that you like to cook on. I like the olive oil taste of it, and then that it comes together. So I use it in different applications, and I actually like it just by itself without adding any moisture because it holds very well. I like the versatility of it. And one of the things that really surprised me, it helped me to make plum forward cooking a little bit more. It's more approachable than your normal, what you used to have, the options that you used to have before when it came down to all plant cooking. So one of the things that I saw is that it really, really helped me bind it and put it together in a very nice way. And then, so obviously when I was talking to my mom about the recipe, she told me don't forget about the cumin. So I just added a little bit of cumin. And then this little guy, this is oregano. And for me, you can never have enough Mexican oregano in your recipes because for me, it was very easy and I always grind it in my hands. You should see it smells good. The smell is great.
And that is
the Mexican. Sorry, the Mexican oregano is going to be definitely different than the Italian oregano that you're going to find in the store, where it's just the leaves. They're either ground up or just smashed up. Mexican oregano, it's dried whole, so you do have to kind of smash it up with your hand, or in a bowl in a mortar with a bowl, whichever. I usually do it in my hands, because I like then the rest of the day my hands smell really, really good. And this is pretty much all the mixing that you gotta do. Once you have all your ingredients all well combined, this is pretty much all the mixing that you gotta do to it. And you can really see that it's
and you can see it together. It almost looks like a dough, like a little bit.
Do you see something like the incognito as being a product you could use across your day parts of menus in your operation?
I do, because the versatility of it, from here, we can say it's a giant meatball.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So from here, what I'm going to do is to complete my recipe, what I'm going to use now, I'm going to use a little piece of aluminum foil. And what I previously did, I put a little bit of olive oil in aluminum foil, because remember, we don't have the animal fat that will help you to your albondigon as you roll it in to unstick from the foil. So since you don't want that to happen, what you do is you put a little bit of olive oil, then you make a flat surface. You probably want to do about half inch, 3/4 of an inch to an inch thickness. And you'll pretty much just do it like in a rectangular shape, depending on how thick you want. But like I say, probably 3/4 of an inch will be good. And then what I use, because I wanted to keep the recipe, being all plant-based. So what I'm going to use a cashew milk cheese. It's gonna look something like this.
So you're making a stuffed meatloaf.
I am making a stuffed meatloaf. So it's gonna have a beautiful white center in the middle. It's gonna look really cool, and it's gonna add another layer of plant-based protein to it, which is really good.
And that's a cashew cheese?
It's a cashew cheese.
Cashew mozzarella.
How did you find it melted okay when you cooked it?
Actually, Chef, the reason I picked this cheese is because while it is inside the albondigon, it doesn't melt. It actually holds the structure to it very, very, very nice. So basically, from here, what I'll do is I just roll it like you will roll your normal, like you were doing a stuffed meatloaf, and you just roll it nicely.
Of course, you'd most probably do a little bit bigger when you were doing your banquets for 1,000
Oh,
people.
yes. Doing for 1,000 people and doing the ones that look like this size.
Yeah. So you'll make them to fit the full sheet pan.
Correct. So it's going to look like this. You got to twist the sides to make sure that it's nice and tiny. You don't have the air gaps in there. And then this one will go into the oven at 375 degrees. I found that it cooks perfectly at about 40 minutes.
With the foil
about 40 minutes with the foil on. Put it to the side. So now, because of the beauty of
it's the magic of TV.
The magic of TV and the magic of cooking demos, I have one that I already have done here, but I'm going to change my gloves first.
And I guess you could add additional stuffings to that if you wanted to, like roasted poblanos, if you wanted to up the veggie quotient, or other colorful inclusions.
That is correct, Chef. You can also add some calabacitas. It all depends on how traditional you want to go with your recipe, and how fun you really, really want to make it. And for me, the cheese was just enough, because then I want to add some ingredients to the final dish. So when you have the final dish, it's going to look something like this. And then when we'll talk about the cheese, you have beautiful white in the middle. So, and remember when I talk about the consistency of the dish, of the incognito itself, and you'll see it. The consistency is beautiful. It looks very nice. It doesn't look like overbeaten or anything, and you'll see the grounds really nice on it. So it doesn't look much different from your traditional meatloaf, or in my case, for my traditional bondigon. So then because I did 1 pound portions, 1 pound recipe, so my final portion will be about 6 ounces. It will be something around right here. So then for me,
it's all right. I'm not going to pull out a scale to check you. You'll be all right.
I was fearing that we were going to go there, but that's a good thing.
No, we're going to trust you.
So then what I did is I steamed some chayote. So it looks like this now. I slice it and steam. I marinate it with a little bit of olive oil. And for those of you that don't know, what we call chayote in the U.S. In the U.S., we call it merliton. That would be your merliton. I think
they also call it Christopher squash, and some people call it chocho in the islands.
Good
in Australia, we grew up and it was called choco squash.
Choco?
Choco.
Oh, you see, there you go. We learned something new.
It grows on a vine. We had a neighbor who'd throw it over the fence at us because she didn't like to eat it herself.
Oh, come on. I started growing a plant on it last year, but I didn't get it. I didn't get anyone because they kind of melt. They kind of froze on me. So then I also did some steamed potatoes and a little bit of a diced chayote that I'm going to add to my final dish. So I'll show you the final dish in just a minute.
Yeah, we'd love a close-up of that.
I'm gonna serve it with a
half cup of the salad going.
With a little bit of salad as well, a little bit of olive oil. Then I'm going to do just a touch of lemon zest for my salad. What I normally do, I use the whatever greens are the freshest. I change my salads constantly at work, just because I'm going to use the ingredients that are mostly in season and ones that will give me the best flavor. And I will mix some fresh herbs. And lately, what I've been doing, I've been mixing like a cilantro, parsley, dill, and I've been mixing a little bit of a chiffonade of mint. It makes the salad really, really refreshing.
Now,
Chef, in the summer,
especially in the summer.
I love putting.
I know it's a really nice touch.
Yep. Chef Mario, I've seen some recipes for albondigas that actually include the mint inside the stuffing.
Indeed, it all depends. It depends on the region of Mexico you come from. I can tell you, my mom was very adamant that only use oregano, and I was like, yes, Mom.
And you have to do what Mom says. Now, tell us where you're from in Mexico.
I am from the state of Zacatecas, from the city of Fresnillo. That's where you are in Texas. You draw a line all the way down in the middle, and you will find my home state right there. Oh. Our climate is very dry. It's very desert-like. We don't have we don't have a lot of water or rain, or we don't have beach of the ocean close by. But, we have our recipes tend to be more stewy-like, but we do grow. I grew up growing peppers, poblanos, pasillas, the serranos, jalapenos, and these ones, the Hungarian style pepper. So for these ones, for this type of pepper, it's really funny because when you're growing peppers, this is one of the peppers that starts coming out at first. You start getting fruits of the pepper plant. This one is the first ones that come out. And you'll see because it's really funny because the plants are little shorties and the peppers grow upwards.
Oh, that's unusual.
Which are in the plants, in the other plants of peppers, most of the plants will grow the peppers like hanging.
Yeah, they hang down.
So, I grew up growing lots of tomatoes. For us, the big thing was always growing tomatoes, and most of the time it was the Roma tomato style. Yep. In Mexico, they have a different name, which I don't remember, pardon me. But then I came here to the States, and, I continued to work with vegetables, but in a different way. Now I cook them. I play with them. Tomatoes play a big time on my recipes. You're almost going to find tomatoes everywhere. And then to complete my recipe, I did my mom's, I call it salsa de la mamá, or my mom's recipe for salsa. And, it's very humble ingredients. All I do is I get...
you have them right here.
I do, chef.
Yep.
So let me show you the ingredients for my salsa. Roasted tomatoes, roasted tomatillos, cilantro. I do Hungarian pepper, roasted jalapenos, and roasted onions, and a little bit of roasted garlic. And all that goes into the blender. Again, I'm going to do a little splash of the dry oregano.
You have to.
Salt. And then the lemon that I zested, split it in half, and make it into, use up and add a little bit of acidity.
So you're using lemon instead of lime.
Yes.
The flavors, the vibrancy of the color and the flavors, it seems to really elevate the dish. But I know you said, when you're using plant-based meats, I think you mentioned that you don't feel quite as heavy after you've eaten them. Is that correct?
That's correct. Well, like you can see it right here. You can see my final dish right here. So you have the salsa, you have the albondigon, you have the chayote, you have a little bit of the roasted, the steamed potatoes with the steamed chayote, and you have a little bit of salad.
I wish I was there, Chef Mario, because I'd be getting my fork and tucking in. And Heath have an extra bite for me. Well,
right, of course, absolutely.
Yeah, I just love the versatility. I mean, I love the creativity you've put together there. I wouldn't feel shortchanged at all. I wouldn't miss any meat at all having that dish if I was at your restaurant or in your hotel.
No, I absolutely agree, Oona. This recipe, looking at it, it's a nice sized portion. You're not going to feel hungry afterward. Accompanied by more vegetables, the salad, the freshness with the mint and the radish to give a little pepperiness. You have your potatoes. It's all encompassing, and
it really looks like the incognito performed beautifully there and gave you a great versatile base.
It did. It gave me a really nice opportunity to create something unique.
So it wasn't too over seasoned. You were able to add your own flavorings and take it to a different location of the menu kind of thing as far as global and Mexican.
I know. It's like I was telling Chef earlier, it's like I'm going to claim this recipe as my own recipe because, the incognito was part of my ingredients. So,
Well, we'll be very happy. We're happy to let you do that. And we love the creativity. And thank you so much for a wonderful presentation showing us your albondigon.
No, thank you for having me.
Right. So we want to thank everyone at Menus to Change, Oona for coming in from Texas and joining us, and Chef Mario. So from the Menuvation Center, Chef Heath with Chef Mario, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you again to our chefs here, and big thank you to Kellogg's Away From Home for making this presentation possible. We are now heading back to the stage for our next session. So looking forward to seeing you all there. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.